To me, lowriders are people who have a passion, have an idea. I don't see gang members, I don't see troublemakers. I see a person who loves the art of cars.
Tell me, how does it feel?
I got involved with lowriders at a very young age. I was in junior high school, and I used to watch all these lowriders go to the front of the school to pick up their little brothers and sisters, and I always said one day I'm gonna have a lowrider. My two older brothers had lowriders. I always wanted to know what it felt like to own your own lowrider. I would ride with them all the time, and I loved it. And my dream was to have a lowrider police car one day. I have a 1991 Chevy Caprice. It is a retired police car. It comes equipped with 14x7 reverse rims in the front, 14x6 reverse in the rear. They are Sinister wheels, 120 spoke. It still has a big V8 engine in it. It comes with Sinister hydraulics. It's got a double hump setup, 5 batteries, and it's got 12-inch woofers in it. The car is completely a police car, but not a service car. It comes complete with the crash bars in the front, and as you can see in the front, there's a buzzer right above it. That still works as well. On the top of the roof, you see the lights. They flash, and the sirens will go when they flash. The police car still has a sticker, "We make a difference" on the door. It comes with a badge. It has the 911 emergency on the quarter panels. The interior has all been redone, and it was done by the San Joaquin County Jail inmates. They used to have an upholstery shop in there where they would teach them the trade. And they completely did the seats, the door panels. They fabricated the trunk. As you know, these cars come with black hard plastic floor. Now it's got carpet. To complete the car, first step was we had to take it to corporate yard so that they could put the badge back on the door, paint the hood and the trunk, of course, because they were pretty bad. They had to put the lights back on the roof. Everything you see on it went back on. It was completely stripped except for the black and white paint. That took about 2-3 months. As soon as I got the car back in my hands, it took about a month after that for me to complete everything else with a couple of friends. I attended a super show back in 1997 at the Oakland Coliseum, and it's when I seen the police car and a fire car nose up and start hopping against each other. It was pretty neat. But I seen the crowd, how excited they got. I came home and I started talking more about it. And that is when I approached Diane Salazar about my idea. About a month later, she told me about the meeting at the Civic Auditorium, which was to be the Racial Task Force Harmony meeting to come with ideas so that the city council, law enforcement can all work together with the community. I took the idea to the mayor and the sheriff at that time. They were excited about the idea, and about a month later, I got the car. So a lot of people in the community asked me, why a police car? I grew up in Stockton, and in Stockton, there was a lot of division between law enforcement and our youth, and I seen it, and I was one of them. I wanted to connect the youth, build a bridge, maybe start a conversation, and I knew the police car would be a hit. I always knew it would, and I knew that creating such car, it would be a bridge. It would build a connection between our youth and law enforcement. So I was born in McAllen, Texas. We came over to Stockton, California when I was 3 years old. My parents worked the fields. My father worked the fields until he got a job at a dairy farm, started, milking cows for a living. One day we raised enough money to buy a new car. One of his friends there said they were looking for a person to help out in the lot. My dad applied and he got the position. He went on to open up his own shop and started detailing and upholstering. He had about 14 employees until he retired. So Stockton is not that big of a city, but not that small. It's a lot of farmlands around it, agricultural work. I got a taste of it. Me and my two older brothers and my mother would work the fields after school. We used to leave our home about 3:30, and we'd get home about 6 or 7 sometimes. I think I worked the fields with my brothers till I was about 19 years old. We were a very close family. I had 2 older brothers and 4 younger sisters. Of course, we never wanted our baby sisters to go out in the field, so it was always me and my older brother saying, my little sisters are not gonna go, we're gonna go. And that's pretty much how we kept it. My oldest brother graduated high school. He graduated in June, and 4th of July, he had an accident. We went out swimming to a reservoir, and I remember him and my brother swimming across to an island right across from where we were sitting. And on the way back, my brother went down. My other brother, who was next to him, tried to bring him out and wasn't too successful. It was tragic. It was bad. You know, my sister had to see it, my brother, and of course my parents were at home. We had went by ourselves. And it was devastating. We had to make many adjustments in our life after that. It was difficult looking at my mother, my father. I gave up on a lot of things. I gave up on school. I gave up on a lot of things. And shortly after my brother passed, not even a year later, the only brother I had left married, and I was left. It was always the boys together. And of course, I didn't want to hang around with my sisters because they were girls, you know, and they were younger. And I got involved with the wrong crowd. I made some bad choices in life. And I knew that one day if I didn't make any changes, I was going to end up dead or in prison. And that was it. There was no way out of it. It wasn't until I was arrested for a serious crime, but I swore if I got out of that one, I was going to change. And I had a 1-year-old son already. And I started thinking a lot about who's going to raise my son. Is he going to end up like me? Am I going to be around for his birthday? Am I going to be around to see him get married and have kids? A lot went through my mind thinking when I was sitting in that cell. Shortly after I was released, I made some huge changes. I stopped hanging around with my friends. I got a job. And I remember starting off as a loader for Coca-Cola. And I went on to be a lead man and a union shop steward. So I knew that what my parents instilled in me in the past, work hard, stay focused, you will get ahead. I remembered all that. And I remember the hard work and labor versus Coca-Cola. That was easy. It was a piece of cake for me. I also opened up my own shop in Stockton, and I was selling hydraulics and wheels. Having my own shop in Stockton was kind of hard because, as you know, there's a lot of competition in the wheel industry. And I was offered a position at Sinister Wheel and Hydraulics. I worked there for about 10 years. Me and my couple of friends built 2 hoppers, a single pump and a double pump, and I competed all over Northern California. We took 2nd place with the single pump, and I would have took 1st, but I broke a cylinder on the right, and I was disqualified. But I hit 47 inches on one side with 2 pumps. A friend of mine who was doing gang intervention in Stockton approached me one day and asked me if I wanted to be one of the City of Stockton peacekeepers to do gang intervention. I turned him down about 2 times. Finally, on the 3rd time, he asked me to attend a Blue Ribbon Committee meeting held by the mayor and the chief. What they were going to do is reinvigorate the peacekeeper program in Stockton. That was a department with young men, streetwise, to mentor young men to turn their life around. You know, all my life I've seen young children grow up into teenage life, go into adults and don't change. They're living the same path I was living. It bothered me. It bothered me to see people getting shot on the streets of Stockton every day. That could have been me if I hadn't changed. So I went to that meeting, and I liked what I was hearing, and I applied. After I applied, I got a phone call from the chief of police and the mayor asking me to go to City Hall. I received 2 letters of recommendation from the chief and the mayor for that position. So I was hired in 2007 as a peacekeeper. I was to work the streets and take referrals from juvenile hall, schools. I did that for about 6 years. Now with adults, it was a little different. My job as an outreach worker was to mentor them, get them into education, get them into a job, change their way of thinking. We try to get them to remove tattoos. We pay for that too. I did that for about 12 and a half years until 3 weeks ago I was promoted to supervisor. In my role as a supervisor, I oversee 8 outreach workers, and I make sure that they have all the tools they need so when they go out there, they can have a big impact on whoever they're working with. The guys that we work with are not easy. Some are not ready. For those who are ready, I can only tell you, take my right hand. You know, a year from now, we're gonna be somewhere. I don't know where, but we're gonna be somewhere better than now. You're not going back to jail, you're not going back to prison, and you're gonna stop getting shot at. Building the relationship and the trust is the most difficult part. If you can't build that relationship or trust, it's gonna be almost impossible to reach out to this young man. So it starts with us. Because the car is a city entity, I cannot take it out whenever I want. It comes out upon request for special events, parades, school, jail programs. When I attend these events, I have many kids, and you'd be surprised how many adults I have. They want to take a picture by the car. There's always been a little distance between law enforcement and lowriders. I knew that the police lowrider car would bring change to that. I remember taking it out to the county fairgrounds. Law enforcement had a recruitment booth, and it was kind of slow. One of my police officer friends called me if I could bring the car, and I did. As soon as I drove in, people started taking pictures. When I got to the booth, it was amazing how it did attract a lot of people over to the booth, created conversation, and people were walking away with brochures, how to be a police officer. My favorite part of my job is when I see them succeed. When I see them now providing for their families and not having to live that life where you gotta look over your shoulder. Life doesn't have to be that way. That's the most rewarding part. I'm gonna have to say it's rewarding to me to see somebody live a life that they should be living with their family. It's so easy to get caught up. You just gotta stay focused, stay away from the negative, stay away from the gang, stay away from the people who says, we got your back, you're my friend, we're like brothers, because it's not true. I lived that life, and I seen that, I experienced that. Part of the bad decision making I made in the past, I really believe it had a lot to do with not being able to talk about what happened to us with my older brother. Growing up in life, it's sometimes difficult to ask. There's many young men and women who are suffering from the same situation I had. I encourage everybody, seek for help, talk to somebody. Every city has something for you. You have to look for it. When you're sick, you go to the doctor, he gives you a remedy, a prescription, there you go. Okay, you break your leg, you get a cast. This is no different. Sometimes we need help in this way. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It just means you need some help. You need some balance within yourself. Be somebody. Most kids, most teenagers, most adults have dreams. Hang on to those dreams. Go for them. My name is Jaime Constantino. I'm a supervisor for the Office of Violence Prevention in Stockton, and I'm a lowrider role model.